Hey everyone, welcome back to RetroBreak. Today I wanted to talk about the 3 GameCube games that are available to play on the Nintendo Switch 2. So I've got my Switch 2 here, and before we get into the games, there's something really cool that I wanted to show you guys about the Nintendo Switch 2. These incredible custom Joy-Cons made for me, custom made by Skinpixel. They're actually offering anyone on this channel a 10% discount if you use the code RetroBreak10 at checkout, and you can get yourselves some amazing custom Joy-Con 2s just like the ones that I've got here. I absolutely love what they did. I think it looks incredible, and I'm so happy to have my own design in the palm of my hands. It's just so cool. Thank you so much, Skinpixel, for making these for me, and if you do want to get some for yourselves, or if you just want to check out the website and see what else they do a range of different controllers too, then check the link down in the description below. So as for the GameCube games on the Switch 2, I have very mixed feelings about this, and hopefully I can get them across in this video, but before that I wanted to touch upon a few of the inconsistencies that I've seen online around the service and some of the things that I think people can do to make it a little bit more enjoyable. So let's start off with the game F-Zero GX, an incredible racing game, one of the best racing games of all time. I'm so happy it's on the service now, but there's a few things you should do in order to make the game a little bit more playable, because the experience out of the box is kind of subpar, if I'm being completely honest. So the first thing that I think a lot of people already know is the fact that you can go into the options in the game and set it to widescreen 16:9 mode, which gets rid of those horrible Nintendo borders down the side. I've always hated what they do with that. There's no reason to show you your player name in the corner. You already know who you are, right? I feel like it's just completely pointless information across the side of the screen. You don't need to see the name of the player, and you don't need those annoying gradients either. So what you can do in order to mitigate that is set the game to 16:9, and that gets rid of the borders on the side, but it still leaves the bit at the bottom that tells you to press the ZR button to go into the menu, and there is actually a way to disable that as well, which a lot of people online don't seem to know about. I tried correcting people a few times and no one's really seen that it's even there. So if you go out of the game itself and into the settings on the Switch 2 for the GameCube games, you can actually turn off this checkbox here which says show controls in game, and once you do that and boot the game back up, then it will actually be full 16:9 and it will take up the entire display, which looks amazing, and from what I've seen online it is a 2x upscale, so you're getting around 900p resolution, which is fairly good, but obviously nowhere near as good as what you can get on modern emulators. But as an official Nintendo way of playing GameCube games, it really is impressive to see, especially playing it downstairs on the big screen in widescreen with the GameCube Switch 2 controller as well, which I've actually got back here. This is an amazing replica of the original GameCube controller with a few extra Switch 2 specific buttons at the top there. I've been really enjoying using this with the GameCube games. It just feels natural, you know. And that brings me on to the second problem that I've got with Switch 2 GameCube emulation, and that is the controls. So again, we're just talking about F-Zero GX here, but the way the controls are set up on the Joy-Con, if I show you the Joy-Con there, you can see that A, B, X and Y are in sort of a diamond shape or a cross shape. So A is accelerate and Y is boost, which obviously on the GameCube you could just use your thumb like that to hit the Y button because it's directly above. But on the Joy-Con, there's no way of actually reaching the Y button without taking your thumb off the A button, and when you do so, it stops accelerating, which stops you from being able to boost. So by default, there is actually no way of boosting in the game. That is a massive oversight, and a lot of people are going to play this and not go into the control options and think that the game just plays like that. Like, the only way you can do it is if you use like 2 fingers, and you can remap it so that Y becomes X, but then you can't do the shunting into the opponents, because then that has to be set to one of the other face buttons. So it really is just an incompatible controller. The GameCube controller really does need that button layout, and you can tweak them to whatever you want them to be, but nothing really feels that good, and it definitely doesn't feel anywhere near as responsive or as intuitive as it does here, because obviously with the big A button in the middle you can actually reach any of the other face buttons just by rocking your thumb side to side, so everything's always in range, whereas with this, with the way it's spread out, it's really difficult to reach some of those buttons. And the obvious other complaint is, on the GameCube, you actually had these pressure-sensitive triggers. So in F-Zero, you could hold the L or R buttons down gently to move the car slowly to one side or the other, but obviously on the Switch you've only got digital triggers, so it's either all or nothing. They do have a workaround where you can set the front trigger to be a full press and the back trigger to be half a press, but you still don't get the nuance of having it all as one button, and it does kind of break my brain a little bit having to switch between the two. I remember when Mario Sunshine came out on that Nintendo 3D All-Stars, it was a real pain to get my head around on there as well, and it's just as frustrating here on the GameCube games on the Switch too. But that is not the end of my complaints. Let's move on to the next thing. And the next thing is a much bigger deal, and this applies both playing it on the TV and playing it in handheld mode. It is more noticeable in handheld mode because of the low refresh rate of the screen itself, but even playing it on the TV, using the GameCube controller that came with it, you can really feel the input lag of the emulators, and I've had a look online and it's around 8 frames worse than it is on original hardware. So for games like F-Zero, things feel a lot heavier than they should do, and unless people have the comparison of playing the games on a CRT to begin with, maybe you're not going to notice as much, but for me, someone who grew up with these games, they really feel wrong at the minute on this service, and thankfully that is something that Nintendo's addressed in the past. The N64 app was also really bad at the start, but they did improve that with some patches going into the future, and they did actually reduce that input latency, so fingers crossed they can do the same again for the GameCube games. It's especially noticeable on Wind Waker because it only runs at 30 frames a second instead of 60 for F-Zero, and for Soulcalibur they run at twice the frame rate as Wind Waker. But when you're playing Wind Waker, it really feels very, very sluggish, and it honestly feels kind of difficult to control that way. Even through the menus, immediately once you boot the game up, I felt like something was off about it. And again, probably the majority of people won't really notice there's anything wrong unless they have that direct comparison, but it is still something I really wish Nintendo would address, and I think it is something you should be aware of, that this is not the optimal way to play any of these games as they stand at the moment. Another thing about Wind Waker, and I've seen a lot of people online saying this is a fix for the camera, so for those of you that don't know, the camera in Wind Waker actually inverts the left and right controls, so when you press left, the camera actually moves to the right, so it's like you're pulling it to the left rather than actually moving it to the left, and same in the opposite direction. It feels a lot more natural on this C-Stick for some reason. Maybe it's just because I'm so used to it from playing GameCube games when they came out, but honestly I have no issues with that. But when you're playing Wind Waker on a modern controller like this, or like with the Pro controller, it just feels wrong. It really does feel opposite to how it should be, and I've seen a lot of people online saying you can go into the options, you can go into the menu and remap left and right on the C-Stick to the opposite directions, which, yeah, works great for the camera, but I don't think anyone's got far enough into Wind Waker yet to realise just how much of a problem that is in terms of gameplay. So a bit further on in Wind Waker, you get an item called the Wind Waker, which is like a conductor's baton that you use to basically change the direction of the wind and play a bunch of different songs in the game, kind of like the Ocarina in Ocarina of Time. And to play that, you use the same stick as the camera. So if you invert the buttons for the camera, you're also inadvertently inverting the options for the Wind Waker control scheme as well. So when the game tells you up, left, right, down, you'll actually need to press up, right, left, down, which will get really confusing really fast, and you don't want to have to go into the camera controls and reconfigure them every single time. So I wish Nintendo had actually thought about how these games actually play on a modern console and actually done something to the ROMs to patch them to make them a little bit more compatible with what we've actually got to play these games on today. It is very frustrating. I really wish they would have addressed these issues, and this also stems into Soulcalibur 2 as well. The way the buttons are laid out makes perfect sense on the GameCube, with the high button being high, the medium and the kick being on the low button. Mapping that to the Switch controller makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, and I spent ages trying to get Soulcalibur 2 to play to my liking on it, and I just could not, so I went back to using this. But even then, you've still got the input lag issue, which means that especially for a fighting game, you're really also fighting with the latency, and it really broke my brain trying to pull off some of these combos that I'm so used to doing on the GameCube, and they felt almost impossible to do on the Switch 2, whether you're using this controller or not. So it does leave a lot to be desired. There are some things I like. I like the resolution bump, and I also like the fact that you can play them online, although it does kind of have its own issues there as well with the latency issues because of the online, the way Nintendo does that. So honestly, not a great start, but I do have some hope for the future because they did end up fixing the N64 app, so there is chance for them to fix the GameCube one as well. There is one other thing, and that's the CRT filter, and I don't really feel like the GameCube games themselves need the CRT filter, because once they're upscaled to 900p, they basically look like modern games. Honestly, you could have F-Zero GX as a modern release, and maybe some of the models look a little bit dated, they're a little bit polygonal, but on the whole it still looks incredible. If it came out as an indie title today, people would say the graphics are amazing, so honestly, from a graphics perspective, the GameCube games hold up incredibly well. The CRT filter is also available to use on the N64 app as well, and it definitely does a lot more there to hide some of that early 3D polygonal graphics. So I feel like what I'm going to do for the CRT filters is have it turned on for N64, but have it turned off for the GameCube. Another great thing I got for the Switch 2 was by an accessory maker called Tomtok, and they actually sent me over this protective case here, and you can get it using my affiliate link to Amazon down in the description below. It's a really great case, it's very sturdy, and if you take a look inside, it also has space in there for all your games as well, and then a space for the console at the back. It was exactly what I was looking for, and I'll definitely be using this weekend when I'm going away to another convention. So thank you so much, Tomtok. Check the description if you want to get one of these hard cases for yourselves. That's it for this video, just a short video. I'm actually going away for a few days now, so I only had a very short amount of time to make this, and as you can see around me, I've also been redecorating the game room as well. So you can see I've actually got my consoles hooked up behind me over there now, and I'm also planning to be able to stream from there. And then on this side of the room, I've actually got all my shelves lined up back to back, so hopefully I can do another room tour soon as well. I'm very much looking forward to that. Let me know your thoughts on the GameCube games on the Switch 2 down in the comments below, and let me know some of your favourite GameCube games as well, and which ones you would like to see come to the console next as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you want more GameCube content, click up here to see the games that I would like to see come to the service soon. And I'll see you all again very soon. Goodbye.